Okay, let's get this done this time. So, I've told a few people that I've purchased 3.8 acres of off-grid land in Oklahoma. Hasn't quite really worked out the way I wanted it to, and lots of delays. One of them being this driveway here. I paid $600 for a 10-horn and delivery, and the county had to put it in. That's the only restriction I have, is I can't put in my own entry off the county highway or road. And that's because, people could put it in and potentially do it wrong and screw up the drainage, and then the county's responsible for the road. So anyway, it's their road, so we play by the rules. I allowed that. But this was one piece of property, and the investor divided it into three and then sold it in three different parcels, so there was no fences. Well, I wanted to put up a fence, so went and bought all the fencing. There's my marker. That's my property line. When I bought it, I was told, go out there, you'll find the stake with a red ribbon and a T-post behind it with a red ribbon on it. They faded due to the sun now. So we bought the property, put in the 10-horn, the gravel, got the driveway. But see this power pole here? Okay, so I use that power pole as my guide when I went to the back of the property. It's 530 foot deep. When I got back there and I looked forward to this power pole that's directly in line with this marker, I thought, something's wrong. That power pole's way over there. I should be able to look straight out to the front of the property and see that power pole. And I didn't. I'm like, that's 30 to 40 feet off. So I called the survey company and the realtor, and I had to get really ugly with them. They didn't care. Well, after a few threats that I shouldn't have had to make, and making an ass of myself, to shorten the story, we finally got the surveyor out here, and he said, no, the mark back there's just fine. I thought, then it dawned on me, because I thought, guy, there is something wrong. And then it hit me, maybe it's the front marker that's off. So he comes up here and he checks that mark. Well, guess where my actual property line is? Here is the new marker. My property goes that way. That's the property line, the corrected property line. Guess where my driveway is? Yeah, all that money spent for the neighbors a driveway, and it gets better. A well driller told me, do not spend the money on a well out there. The water's horrible, the flow rate is horrible, it costs you way too much money. You have rural water available. Spend the $1,200 and get you a water meter. Okay, I did that. Again, there's my property line over there. So I bought my neighbors a water meter, not me. And of course, guess who's responsible for that? Guess who's going to make that right? Absolutely nobody. Nobody wants to take the blame for it. Surveyors trying to say that some kid came by here and lifted up that marker and put it in the ground and drove that T-post and put a red ribbon on it. So I don't know who's to blame, but you know, this is what the realtor told me. So that's what we bought the property based off of. Anyway, enough about that nightmare. So yeah, it's not been a great time so far. So needless to say, I've had to start making a new entrance to the property. And after I learned my lesson down there, that wasn't quite wide enough. I had a container delivered, and the guy went over the end of the tin horn and kind of crunched it. The road's just too narrow. So now I've decided that I want to go with a 30-foot opening, and we'll gravel right down the center. So I've been working on clearing all of that out. That was wooded all the way back. So I've cleared all of that out. And the reason's twofold. As I said, there's the power pole. Power lines are directly behind me, over my head right now, across the road from my property. And the electric company needs 10 feet clearing on both sides of where they would put the power line. So over here, we'll come off of that side and come in this way 10 feet. And then we have the 10 feet down the center, and that's where I intend to use the gravel and use that as my actual driveway. And then the power pole, by the time they put the power pole in, it'll be inset into the property, maybe 60 feet or so. And by the time a trailer or anything long was going to be coming in here and needed to use that space there, the pole will not be in the way. By the time they get up there to where the pole is, they would have made the corner, and they're in, and they're on the straightaway now. And of course this side, in case somebody was coming from the other direction. So anyway, that's going to be the driveway, straight down the center of this opening, and it's going to double as the right-of-way for the power poles. So here's what I've been working on. It's been a lot of work, especially for me. We got a hole there where we dug out one big stump, another stump there, another one there, another one here. There's one of the big ones we got out. Well, that one actually wasn't even that big, but you get an idea of the root system we're dealing with. It's just not a lot of fun. So we're trying to work on that. We got to get some stumps out and get this leveled off so we can get some gravel. And a lot of these stumps I was actually able to pull them out with a heavy piece of equipment. It pulled the stump, the tree, it pulled it all. But big ones like this, that's just not going to happen. So here's one we've started digging on, and as you can tell, yeah, we've not even put a scratch on getting that thing out and all that mess. And another one here. That one's got to come out. So what we've been doing, this is kind of the area I've been using to come onto the property. We're still using the neighbor's driveway that I bought for them. Isn't that nice of them to let me use it? They live in Chicago. I don't think they really care. But they're aware. They're aware that they have a driveway now. I tried to see if they would be interested in buying the water meter and the driveway. They're not interested. So, I mean, I guess I can rip the stuff out. It's mine. I paid for it. But there is also my marker. We had the surveyor put in a couple marks periodically all the way to the back. So that's my property marker. So we use this much of their property to enter our property. So we come up that driveway I made, and we turn here, and we go onto our property. So for now, that's what we do. And now I'm walking out of the property, and there's the power pole and the power lines. Except that we'll be going down that way a little bit to bring the power in over there. So, I do have another video where I did like a little drive around once you get in there. Maybe I'll be able to add that on the end of this, so there's a little, somewhat of a property tour. So we can get this going, and I can start recording some of the antics and all the fun we're having out here. Or should I say lack thereof, because there's nothing fun about it. So hold tight and I'll see if I can't get that added on. Okay, there you go. Oh, there's a little drive around to there. There's another one of them stumps we gotta get out of here. It was in our way. So there was a little drive around. That was from some time ago. It's a little different now out here. Like this opening, for example. You may notice as I exited the property and looked to the right, this opening wasn't here. That drive around was actually done before we realized the property line was wrong. So, yeah, another stump. Just lots of them, lots of work that we got to get done. You may have seen a few other sneak peeks also. Like the back of my dad's RV. He stays in that. That's not going to be a project at all. Let's see, what else did we see? Oh, one of the square body trucks. One of the buses. That bus in that video happens to be for sale. I'm not keeping that one. We won't see much more of that one. I've got two other ones that run and drive that I like much better, and I'll be doing something with. The shed. That shed restoration project, something will be done with that. It's a good one. It's solid. It just looks like crap. So, some siding and a new floor, and it'll be good as new. So we'll be doing that. Some tiny home stuff. And here where we've tried to recently did this, trying to get the property line established for a fence. So, but anyway, if you like this kind of stuff, stick around. It's gonna get real, maybe, depending on health and ailments and weather. So if you made it this far, thanks for sticking around. If tiny home, off-grid, bus building, square body trucks, C50, C60 Chevy trucks, if any of that interests you, and fixing all kinds of stuff. If any of that interests you, stick around. There'll be more of it. Thanks for watching.